Welcome back to That Rugby podcast hosted by the Rugby Booth. Your boy Luke Hughesy back again. Look,
What's up?
Let's have an honest conversation here, Hughesy. I'm going to say something down the lines of a still great coach, Ricky Stewart, said to an individual player about your whole team and franchise. You're a bunch of weak-gutted dogs. You are. Honest to who? Your season is on the fucking line. You go into Eden Park, 46-6. Look, we could say the same for Moana, but, you know, they're a team who's, 3-4 years old. You're a team coming up to 30 years. 30 years of professionalism, a title under your name, and you fucking put out that performance. I mean, what are your feelings to start with?
Complete and utter disappointment, not going to lie. So, look, a number of big-name signings, and, you know, let's call a spade a spade. Taniela Tupou has not performed this season, Taniela Tupou needs something different. I truly believe would benefit from a stint in Europe. I think that would be best for him, although he has had concerns about being away from family as well, so maybe not. I don't know. But Taniela Tupou this season has been a shadow of his former self. And it's best exemplified by the stupidity in this game with a soccer sliding tackle, basically. But yeah, overall, this team has just not meshed exactly the way it's needed to this season. There's been glimpses of it, there's been flashes of it, but ultimately, I think they're still searching for a 10 to steer them around the park. I think the back line. I think we had 2 or 3 weeks of our complete back three, and then other than that, someone was always injured. And there were a few weeks where the first starting three weren't healthy, which doesn't help anyone. And then just with the forwards, just at times out-muscled, outplayed. Some good signings for next season. I think Matt Phillips, a really good one. And there's another lock that they've signed as well. There's completely blanked on it now. But yeah, it's been a very disappointing season. And the next year, Bailey's on sabbatical, you know, only going away for the 1 year, but then coming back. And you know what? At this point, who could blame him? You know, who could blame him? You know, but that's one of our 3 best players not there already next year.
Do you reckon Dan McKellar needs to go down the Ange Postecoglou route of just saying, I know there's only one trophy in Super Rugby, so he doesn't have the same chances as Big Ange, but he goes, I always win a trophy, or maybe I always make the playoffs for my second year. You know, just get a catch line out there to keep the fans alive, because as you said, like, there was glimpses this season. You looked like you were back to the task. You couldn't lose at home for a while there. You couldn't win away. You finally went away and got a muscled up performance against the Force, you know, winning an extra time, and then to finish your season with a fucking whimper.
Yeah. I don't know. There needs to be some work. It looks like the back. I think a specialized backs coach needs to be running, because Dan McKellar can do good work with the forwards, but we need someone coordinating the backs. But yeah, look, I'm miserable enough as it is. So let's move on swiftly here. This week, I want to address the Brumbies and Crusaders game last, because I'm going to go fucking off about that game. But let's look first. Highlanders and Chiefs. Chiefs get the job done, secure themselves number 1 seed in these finals. Took care of it first up, so there was, you know, everyone was could forget about that. Highlanders, unfortunately, they wooden spooners. First New Zealand team to finish bottom of the table since 1997, so that's a streak for you guys broken. Chiefs are getting red hot at the right time. They've scored 126 points in the last 2 weeks, which is insane.
Yes.
Your Canes versus Moana Pacifica. Boy, look, Moana Pacifica last 2 weeks have had 149 points put on them and scored 19.
Yeah, it's as I've just kind of said to you, it's a poor way for Moana in their very, very talented season. And the way I look at it is this first time, I know we dropped a team, but this is the first time we've gone to a 6-man playoff. They finished 7th. So they are like the unlucky ones when you kind of think about it. I know, obviously, losing games and stuff like that. But they had the opportunity, they didn't get it done, but a much improved season. Let's not lie. Let's not sit here and hide behind the fact that they've been so much better than they previously had. There were 20,000 plus at the game, Moana versus the Hurricanes, which, again, for the Hurricanes team, didn't mean that much. Like, either we were finishing 4th or we were finishing 5th. Like, we had already made the playoffs. This was about Moana, and this is primarily about a player from Moana, Ardie Savea, coming back to Wellington. Yeah, look, I would have loved a close game. I knew it was going to happen. Honestly, I truly believe. I just thought Moana had run out of gas. That you lose by 80 points against the Chiefs last week. It's going to be hard to come back and bounce back. They stayed in the fight for as long as they could. But again, we're getting fucking hot. We are getting so fucking hot as a team, the Hurricanes. Like, I look at I think everyone in the fucking finals, other than the Chiefs, will be sitting there thinking, fuck, I wish we don't have to play the Hurricanes. And it starts with the Brumbies. But we're going to get to them later. So, yeah, look, that was that game. I'm happy with our result. We move on. And then Reds closed out the Jura. So, again, Reds did exactly what we did. Like, it didn't matter after we had won. They were finishing fifth. Everyone knew the positions. They just had to go out and put a performance. I think they'll be very happy with the performance they put on. You can't 52-7 to hold a Jura team to 7 is pretty impressive. I think is a big thing. So the Reds building well as they go into finals. Let's you start with the Brumbies and Crusaders, then I'll give my opinion of it.
It's a well-known saying on this podcast that if one missed call loses you the game, you haven't done enough to win the game. All right, I'm here to say that is utter fucking horse shit. What James Dolman and the bunker did to the Brumbies is nothing short of robbery. Nothing short of. You're telling me we can go back 8+ phases to deny Ardie Savea a try, but we can't go back one play to see an obvious knock on that every fan in the seats could see, every player could see, and the Crusaders still retain possession and get a penalty. That is one of the worst cases of referees missing a call that I've ever seen. In no way am I suggesting this was a intentional miss. What I am saying is it's poor performance, and poor performance needs to be punished, which we have both agreed on before in this podcast, that referees that have poor performances should face consequences. James Dolman should not referee another game this Super Rugby season and shouldn't ref any international matches this season, because that was fucking horrendous. That's just awful. He's in front of it. He can see it there. The TMO can see it. Why didn't the TMO, who was interjected before for things like this, gone back and reviewed that when it is so obvious? It boggles my mind, and it has now it's gifted the Crusaders second spot on the ladder. It's gifted them second spot on the ladder. There needs to be consequences for this. There needs to be consequences. Fans need to be made aware of consequences for this to show that poor performance is disciplined, is reviewed. There is some action being taken, because this is not an acceptable standard. If that was missed in park footy, people would be blowing up deluxe at the referee. The fact that this is Super Rugby last week of the season, one of the most important games of the season that could decide this whole final series, because now we've got the Reds traveling to the Crusaders instead of the Reds traveling to the Brumbies. A completely different final season. Completely different. And it's fucked your Hurricanes as well, because you've got to go play in the ACT, where until the most recent game you haven't done very well. This could be a repeat of history for you now. Like, imagine if you guys get knocked out from having to go play in Canberra now.
Yeah, look, I'll get on to that point. I'm going to start with Corey Toole. Are you dropping him? Are you dropping Corey Toole? Because at the end there, he dropped the ball, which, when they're on their phases, can win the game. No, you're not dropping him. He had a poor performance as well, where they had the opportunity to win the game. Look, I get your frustration with TMO. Ardie Savea, we use that as an example. They were incorrect. Rugby came out about that. I understand the frustration. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to preach everything I preach as I continue to preach it. You let a team score 33 points against you, you don't deserve to win. Yes, that try came from a penalty where they kicked for the corner, stop the fucking try in the corner, score a try and win the game. If they won the game, would we be talking about that? No, yes. We wouldn't. No, we wouldn't. No, we wouldn't. No, we would not.
That's a horrific call.
But we wouldn't be talking about it at all. If the Brumbies had won the game at the end there, we would have been like, oh, that happened.
We wouldn't be talking about how James Dolman was breathing the biggest sigh of relief anyone's ever breathed.
I know. I'm so against that. Like, the Brumbies had enough opportunities this game to win the game. Now, I'm going to say it again. Watching that game back, they were on the wrong side of the referee, and not from their fault, from their interpretation. That one moment, I totally understand the frustration. I think fucking Morgan Turinuri can shut the fuck up. I think as a pundit and as a referee, as a pundit and a commentator on a game, your job is to be non-biased. And again, I totally understand. I like the commentary. I like it. I think straight after the game to come out and say stuff like they were saying, and I was like, it's cost the Brumbies $1 million. Like, okay, chill out. All right. Like, I understand the pain and I understand the consequences, as you've mentioned. These are massive consequences. It costs them an opportunity for top two, costs them an opportunity if the Chiefs blow a game to make finals and host a final. I understand all of that. They cost it themselves. Don't fucking start with this one game costing them, because they started the season 0-3. That fucking costed them. Like, there are so many points adding up to this that I go, I totally understand the frustration for the call. I agree with you. Poor performance by referees need to be reviewed. They need to be disciplined in a way that whatever suits them, as we do with players. Someone's not playing well. If, again, McKellar didn't think Edmund was playing well during the season, he gets dropped. These things happen. I totally agree with that. My thing is, the Brumbies had a chance to win it. They didn't. Were they unfairly done? Yes, we can sit here and agree with that. Like, I think it was unfair on them. I think the whole game they lost the battle of the referee, and not from their own doing. But saying that, this season they've had enough chances. They lost to the Canes, who haven't beaten them in fucking ounce, everyone knows how long, in Canberra. So the Brumbies, to their own discredit, have cost themselves a 1-2 spot. As well as, when I look at it, I go, yes, unfairly done. Shouldn't have been there. May have not scored the try. We don't know if they call that a knock-on. Say the fucking Crusaders win a penalty at the scrum and kick to the corner and score the try. Like, what do we... Like, I hate when we start to go and blow up about this, like, oh, this would have happened, this would have happened, this would have happened. It's like, we don't know what would have happened in that last 5 minutes if that didn't happen. But I agree. Harsh call. I really... Again, Stephen Larkham... It's got my respect. I haven't seen a lot come out about the Brumbies being like, they know they've got a job still to do. They know they sit in a really good position where they are. It takes a fucking slip up as we're going to go into Super Rugby from one of those top two teams, and potentially both of those top two teams, and they're still in a very good position. They know where they are, and they know that they can go on a run, and they know they're a good team. So I think in the back of their mind, they're going to hold that and go, we're going to show everyone that one knock on, one little slip, we can fucking go anywhere and beat anyone. And I truly believe they go into this as hot favourites. But let's get on to this final series, because it's a fucking interesting setup. Like, now that the fucking Blues have made it, look, the Chiefs are running hot, but Blues are a team I don't want to face, as we all know, because the Hurricanes have lost them twice this year.
Yeah, so if we run through the final rankings of the season, for those that, for whatever reason, unaware, Chiefs 1, Crusaders 2, Brumbies 3, Canes 4, Reds 5, Blues 6. The Blues are on a hot streak to end the season. So the Blues' last performances beat the Waratahs for that loss to Moana Pacifica, beat Fiji, beat the Force, lost to the Reds, lost to the Crusaders, beat Moana, and then we're back to halfway this season, beat the Canes. So when we say they've come in on a hot streak, they're coming on a hot streak against teams that are in the bottom half of the ladder, right? So, yeah, I'm looking at this now. I think the Chiefs will be coming in fairly confident, right? Because if you look towards the first half of the season, Chiefs beat the Blues in Auckland, and then beat them by 1 point at home. So, I think the Blues on that day can beat everyone, as you said, but the Chiefs are getting hot against good teams at the right time. They're getting hot against teams that are. I mean, they beat the Crusaders, who are second on the ladder now, right beneath them. So I think the Chiefs will go into this with a fair degree of confidence. But I think they'll go confident, but not arrogant.
Yeah, that's a fucking good way to put it, because I agree. I think they'll go in knowing they can win. They can definitely take on those Blues, and the Blues haven't looked good this season. However, saying all of that, the Blues, we just know what they've got, and that's what scares me. And again, just to run everyone through the Super Rugby Finals format. So 1 versus 6, 2 versus 5, 3 versus 4. The highest seeded loser gets a save. So realistically, if you think about it, 1 plays 6, you expect 1 to win, 2 to win, 3 to win. So then 4 to get saved. But say there is an upset. Say we beat the Brumbies, then they get saved. But say the Blues beat the Chiefs, that's our save gone. That's the save gone. That means if the Crusaders lose, they're out. That means if the Brumbies or the Hurricanes lose, they're out. So it is important from a Brumbies standpoint, from a Hurricane standpoint, that we see the Chiefs and Crusaders win. I'm not going to sit here and lie about it like that's what I need to happen. because then it doesn't matter what happens in Canberra. Now, the big thing that does happen, and I like this, if the Chiefs were to lose, they lose home ground advantage. So they then go re-rank down to 4th. So they would play the Crusaders next week, I believe. And we could have a rematch of the Brumbies against the Hurricanes again. So look, there's lots of little scenarios that are going to go on after this week, depending on what happens. If everything happens as expected, so 1, 2, and 3 wins, you will see the Brumbies take on the Crusaders next week, and then us take on the Chiefs next week. So that's the expected results if everything goes as planned. Saying that, what about your Reds, and what about your Reds, the Australian Reds, I should say, now that your Waratahs are out, and their chances to beat the Crusaders?
Yeah, look, to be honest, I hope that the Blues beat the Chiefs and then the Reds beat the Crusaders so the Crusaders get fucking knocked out, you know? Like,
I'm not against that.
yeah. Look, it's going to be tall order for the Reds to win. We know, obviously, it's difficult to play against New Zealand teams. It's even harder to play away from home. The Reds have been at their best at home this season. I'm just looking through. They beat the Highlanders in New Zealand, but I think that's the only New Zealand team they beat away from home this year. It might be the only New Zealand team that they've beaten. So it's a very tall order for the Reds, but the Reds have got some key pieces back. Josh Fluke is back, and Jock Campbell is back as well. So they're getting healthy at the right time. I don't know necessarily about if they're getting hot at the right time. I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but a strong final week against Fiji will do wonders for their spirits going into this one. It'd be one of the all-time major upsets if the Reds can win.
You say that, but the thing I do have this, I agree. I'm not hiding from that fact, but I wouldn't be shocked either if the Reds won. Like the Crusaders, to me, they're not a great team. Like when I look at it, I go, they're a very good team, but they're not a great team this year. Like look at their last. They obviously got pumped by the Chiefs. They only just beat the Highlanders. Only just beat the Brumbies. Beat your Waratahs, but after 20 minutes, that game was over. Then you go back when they pumped the Highlanders, just beat the Blues, just beat the Canes, beat Drua. Like I look at this season and I go, not a lot stand out other than their win of the Reds at home where they got hot. But they beat the Hurricanes twice again. It's a common denominator. You're not a good team if you beat the Hurricanes twice because the Crusaders and Blues both did it. You know what I mean? Like we lost fucking what? How many games did we lose this season? Oh, this is getting... We lost 5 games. We lost 4 games combined to my most 2 hated teams in this fucking competition. What are we doing, Canes? Like, honest to who? If the Crusaders or the Blues? Like, that's what I say. We will not lose a game if those 2 teams get knocked out. So realistically, what I need to happen is I need a Chiefs win, a Reds win, and a Hurricanes win. That's what I need to happen because I think we go all the way if that happens. But I just, I don't know what the Crusaders, like I don't believe they're that good of a team. I really don't. I think they're good enough is my thing. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if we come onto this podcast next week and we're talking about a famous Reds victory. It would be an upset for the ages because going to Crusaders, but I could see it happening. Round us out, my Hurricanes against the Brumbies. Look, I'm fucking full of confidence. We've gone there. We've done it this season already. I believe we can do it again. I think the Brumbies... I would say the Brumbies are the opposite of the Crusaders. I think they're a good team who have been unlucky with their results. You look at their Crusaders loss, you look at their, what was the last loss? Their Hurricanes loss. All of those, they played shit against us and they only lost by 6 points. Like, they played shit. Other than that, those 2 losses, you have to go all the way back to when the Waratahs beat them. And I go, we remember how they started off the season and it wasn't good. 0-3, yeah. They went.
They're also not healthy at the start of the season as well.
Lost to the Force, lost to the Chiefs, and then they had that famous win against the Blues at Eden Park, and that set them up. So I think this is a very, very good Brumbies team, and I think, again, I'm not going to be shocked if we come here and we're using the lifeline and the Crusaders and the Chiefs have won and we've lost. But I am also very confident being able to go in there, knowing we've already done it this season, and with the form and the play that we've been playing the past few weeks, I definitely go in confident. What are your thoughts, mate?
I think that's going to be the game of the round. I think that's going to be it makes sense. It's 3 versus 4. right? So you think it'd be the closest one, but these are two teams that have played each other a lot. There's storied history there. I don't think either team likes each other particularly much. So, yeah, I'm looking for. I'm glad they put this one in the primetime slot because I think this will be the game of the round. Yeah, look, I think the Brumbies have got it in them to win it. They've got it in them to win the whole thing this year. Whatever path they take. So say they win this week, right? Like say it all goes as expected. Then they've got to travel to the Crusaders next week, right? And if they win that, then they're going to travel to the Chiefs.
They've got a fucking grudge match against the Crusaders if they fucking do it. Again, this would be a historic run to win a title, is if everything goes
go through three New Zealand teams to win the
and only one of those being home games.
Exactly.
Historic.
Yeah. So look, I mean, obviously as an Australian, I'd love to see it. But yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if this is another like 31-33 game, or something close like that. Or what
you're
was
saying
the score?
Is I should ask for it. It was 35-29 when last time we played, but I should ask for a James Dolman referee. Is that what I should be asking for? Is that what you say?
To referee your local match? Yeah. To referee this one? Absolutely not.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. I want to see as they do with the bracket, I want to see your finals all the way through, predictions from quarterfinals all the way through to semi-final to your final, and who's going to take it out.
Yeah. So Crusaders over Reds, Chiefs over Blues. Going with my heart here, Brumbies over Canes, right? So that means we then have Chiefs hosting the Hurricanes, Crusaders hosting the Brumbies. I think the Hurricanes upset the Chiefs, and then the Brumbies upset the Crusaders, and then we have a rematch in Canberra of Brumbies versus Hurricanes.
And who's winning it?
Brumbies, obviously.
Oh, yeah,
Brumbies, obviously. Brumbies, obviously.
Wallabies, obviously. He's turned into Brumbies,
yeah,
obviously.
Exactly. yeah, 100%. That's that would be. Look, that's my dream, closest to reality dream bracket. I mean, my dream bracket would be for the Reds to beat the Crusaders, but I don't have the faith in that one. Whereas this other one, I've got more faith in.
Yeah, I agree. I go Crusaders, Chiefs. I go Hurricanes win that first week, so the Brumbies have to travel to the Chiefs, and then we travel to the Crusaders. We beat the Crusaders. Chiefs beat the Brumbies, so it's a Hurricanes-Chiefs final. Look, I'm obviously going to say the Hurricanes, but I think that's the final that most interests me in the public, and I would fucking absolutely hate if the Crusaders made another final. And so I need to find a way for the Crusaders not to make this final. So I've done it that way. Hurricanes win it in the upset. I think the two best teams right now are the Hurricanes and the Chiefs, and I think they meet in the final, and I think that's how it's going to work. Super Rugby, season done. No, obviously we'll get the rundown, obviously, what happens this week, and then into the semi-finals. Look, I'm interested. I actually don't know what the rules are for Super Rugby semi-finals and finals and how the extra times work, but we saw the URC. I don't know if you saw this game or had heard about this over on the other side of the world. So the URC at their quarterfinals, Sharks were playing Munster. Sharks hosting. Game went into extra time, as you do. From extra time, it still finished as a draw. So they went to a fucking kickoff. So they selected 3 players. They took kicks from various positions. In the end, Sharks won. That's not the thing. Fucking ban the kickoff. I understand what they're trying to do and build that belief around like the penalty shootout. Penalty shootout, it's team against team. A kickoff, it's just one person taking a shot at goal. And I'm like, to decide a rugby match like this, there was some controversy with Jaden Hendricks taking cramp and whatever, and there was a whole bunch of other stuff going on. It didn't fucking matter. I couldn't care who won this game or lost this game. I think Munster should be felt hard done by that you lose the game by a kickoff. Sharks also, that's the rules. Within the rules, so you win the game, that's the game. To me, it has to go down to either you keep playing, which if you decide is too dangerous to do, which I totally understand, there's a limit on health and safety, how long these games go on. You go back to most tries, and I go, if that is the same, which it was in this game, it goes back to first try. And I hate the idea of first try, but I know then if it goes back to first try, in that extra time, the team who didn't score first are going to risk the biscuit to score a try or to score points. So to me, I just sit there and I go, that's like the logical way of doing things. If you can't continue to keep on playing, which in my opinion, you fucking just should. You just keep on going until someone scores some points. If danger, exhaustion, all of that is an issue, and I totally get it. Maybe you get one more slot of 10 minutes of extra time, you get another one, I don't know. Then it goes to most tries, then it goes to first try, because I can never watch another kickoff. We saw Munster do it. I think it was back in the Heineken Cup. They tried it, and it was embarrassing to watch. It's embarrassing to watch because a game being decided by kicks, you just sit there and back in the whenever it was, 2002 or something like that, when they did it, it was a forward who missed the kick, and you go, like, what are we doing? Like, come on now, this is rugby. Like, it's a sport for everyone, and we shouldn't be just sitting there and watching people take shots at goal to decide a match. But yeah, I just sat there and I watched it, and I said, I can't handle that. I can't handle that again, because that was ridiculous. So I don't know how Super Rugby rules. I assume you go extra point, then just continue playing, but I could be wrong on that front. Look. Turning on to a man who just continues to win, as we talked about Super Rugby Championship. Richie Mo'unga has won another title in Japan for the Toshiba team, I believe. Now, he's won, I saw a stat, he's won in the past 13 years, he's won a trophy for either franchise or club rugby.
Yeah.
Canterbury when he was playing in the NPC. Now, people are going to judge me on this. And I love Richie Mo'unga. I do. I really do. I get it. He's a great player. Never won a World Cup. Totally. Let's make that statement. Now, he's gone to a team in Japan League One that is a very successful team, in Toshiba Brave Lupus. I'm pretty sure they won last year, and has always been very successful. The team he played for in New Zealand, just the most successful franchise, had the best fly half ever in Dan Carter before him. So I kind of go there. The team he played for in the NPC was Canterbury, who are, again, the best fucking NPC team other than maybe Auckland if you date back time and how long you look back. So I go, I get it. He's a great player, but he's got into some pretty fucking good situations. You know what I mean? He's no Artie Savia trying to work Moana out of the hole they were in, giving the Hurricanes their first title. So I go, look, it's an incredible record. And again, I think he's the type of player who can lift teams to another level and take teams to championship trophies. I don't think we've seen a player like him do that in this grand scale, but I'd be interested if he wasn't in such a good setup, how that would work.
Yeah, well, look, with Toshiba, they won the 2023-2024, but he was with them then, I believe. So he also helped them win that championship, and they hadn't won before that since 2010. So
they were in finals for the past every single year.
Yeah, but still, it's that's pretty. It's still he's gone there. Look, and I think I saw a stat that he's now on a streak of 7 championships in a row at the provincial level, so below international level, something like that. Like, that's pretty good. I think that's pretty special. He's gone to some good situations, but what if we? You look at you look at other teams where they've had that star player, and I'm talking about crossbots. You've had that star player who has left, and then a new player's come in and had to fill their shoes, and they're falling apart, right? You still have to be a very, very good player to keep success running at that level. Like, as we said, Dan Carter, one of the greatest players of all time, Richie Mo'unga had to come in and fill his shoes. And you can argue that he did fill his shoes for the Crusaders. I'm not saying at the All Black level, but I'm saying for the Crusaders, he filled those shoes, right? He kept them winning, kept them as the most successful franchise, right? New England Patriots lose Tom Brady, shithouse, right? You see the Waratahs lose a player like Israel Folau, shithouse, right? It happens, right? It happens. You can't replace. It's hard to replace those players. We would see the Crusaders after they lost Richie Mo'unga last season. They were shithouse, right? It's taken them another season to build back up to respectability. So yes, he's gone to some good situations, but what you can argue is he's done exactly what he's had to do and done it really well because he's continued to make those situations good. So I don't think you can argue with his results. I think you'd have to say he's one of the best club rugby players of all time.
Oh, I totally agree. And I'd love to see, and again, I don't know if it'll ever happen, him to go to Europe and have an opportunity at the European Club Championships and the Champions Cup and stuff like that, and see if he could take those home and, again, change a say he went to Toulouse, how he'd perform, I imagine he'd be fucking incredible. Like, I'm not saying he's not. I'll be interested to see. I wonder if this will spur a bit of a light for the 2027 World Cup and see if there is opportunities for him to come back if he's still playing at this level at that time. Because that's realistically, when you look at it and putting him in an all-time great conversation, it's what he's missing. He's got everything else. He's won Bledisloes. He's played plenty of games for the All Blacks. He's won rugby championships. He hasn't got a World Cup. And without that, for an All Black, limits to how great you're ever going to be. And I say that with Ardie Savea. They having no World Cups as well. Again, It's a discussion point. It's what matters in World Rugby, World Cup. So will be interesting to see that. Look, last bit today, I had this idea for sevens. Now, it came about because we'd recently heard that the Irish Sevens were dropping their program, Great British Sevens dropping their program, or like they're not doing contracts anymore. They're only paying them based on tournaments they play. And I went, you know what? Sevens is a great fucking sport. And I think it can be run really well, but I think it needs a new perspective. So what I was thinking is I think sevens needs to go in the direction of like Formula One. And hear me out here. I'm not saying like, we're going to be driving cars and playing rugby at the same time. What I'm thinking is we need to commercialise or privatise the sevens circuit. So I think you do a World Cup every year. So like every single year you'll have a like international sevens cup. And so you have your Australia, New Zealand, you have your nations in those tournaments. Everything else is private teams and they go around the world. So example, there's a Red Bull Formula One team. So you could have a Red Bull Sevens team. I know Red Bull would definitely get behind that. You could have sevens teams based off like that. Again, there's an Indian sevens competition that's getting underway that's trying to compete with like the IPL. Could we see like a Mumbai cricket team buying into a sevens tournament that goes around the world? Now, they travel all around the world for like 4 or 5 months. They do that. That's how the sevens circuit works. They will do like, 3 weeks in a row, take a week off, 3 weeks in a row, take a week off, type thing like that. You take those around the world with commercialized, privatized teams.
Yeah, get some private equity in there.
Exactly. Trying to make money off those tournaments and doing all commercial aspects. And you take it off World Rugby, who... Not like I don't know enough about the Seven Circuit, but it's obviously not working. Like back in the day when I was living in Wellington, and the Wellington Sevens was a big thing. Like it was everything. Everyone would go. It would fill. Then by the end of it, maybe half the stadium was full. So I go, it just needs to be rejuvenated. They did a good job with it when they tried to let's do this new setup, less tournaments, higher speed. I just think you have one like international tournament a year where you just go, every single international team goes, you get so I know they've got 2 divisions at the moment, and then everything else is privatized. Players sign contracts with these private clubs, for a year, 2 years. That's how they play. That's how they travel. I think that's what Sevens needs to get a spark.
And can lead to an exciting selection process for the teams as well, so that the actual selection of the teams that compete in the international tournament is more exciting.
Again, looking down the road, like, transfers and a draft, you have a sevens draft where like the best young talent can put their names into the hat. That all of that stuff, you could do it. Imagine a sevens combine, like we get the fittest fucking sevens blokes coming through that want to doing a Broncos test. How fucking entertaining would that be? There's just so much opportunity, I think, there with a privatized. And the only reason I know this as well is there's a pretty big sevens circuit already in Europe, I was meant to be in Amsterdam last weekend playing at the Amsterdam Sevens with a team. And it's like all that team is privatised. It's just a couple of South African blokes who have started it and got sponsorships behind it. And they've done it very relaxed like that. They love it. That's why they do it. Imagine a company and a business orientated being like, I want this team. We're going to sign these people. Say it does tend to grow and it gets bigger and some fucking French businessman goes, Anton Dupont, I would pay you $1 million. To play rugby in their sevens circuit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Terrible French accent. But I just think that there's an opportunity there for the game to grow, and I think sevens is where it is at, and I think privatising that would be incredible.
Yeah, I'm just thinking as well, what if you did like the IPL draft, they do a draft, right, where they bid on the players or something every season, right? So imagine if it's all 1 season contracts, and you're bidding on these players at the start of every season, so teams can shake up and down and things like that. Like, how great would that be? Or you designate like 5 players you keep or something like that, and then you have to bid on the rest of them. Like there's stuff to be done there that could liven this up,
100%. I love that because like if you use that international tournament as like the before they go out onto the circuit, that's a good like, hey, here's how a great opportunity to bump up your, like if you stand out and you score 10 tries. But imagine this like men's woman like Madison Levi, she's going for fucking astronomical money, and like it's an opportunity here to sign a big contract if it's commercialized, get some money over time, brand awareness. Like you look at Formula One, like they have the international aspect. Like everyone knows Oscar Piastri's from Australia, but him being Australian doesn't link him to McLaren, a New Zealand brand. So like. You know what I mean? Like, I just think there's such an opportunity. Like, with all these sevens, like Ireland doing what they're doing, Great Britain doing what they're doing. If New Zealand fucking did it, I would lose my absolute mind and cut our program. But, like, while, like, it can't be making money. It can't be making commercial sense for those businesses to do, those countries and those Olympic committees to be doing this. So they are cutting them. And it's like, well, sevens rugby is an introduction for people into our sport. And it's what we want, and I think it's an opportunity to grow the game. So I'm going to pitch it to World Rugby, see what they say. They'll probably decline me, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, they'll probably poo it off and poo it and say, nah, we're good. We'll just keep going as we're going.
Look, Husey, you're obviously on Mad Monday because the Waratah season is over. So you enjoy that. But we'll be back next week to recap all of the first round of finals in Super Rugby and see if these Brumbies get shafted again, or the Reds who have struggled with referees get shafted again. Typical Aussie experience, isn't it? It's always the referee's fault.
It's always the referee's fault, It's very true. It's very true. See, interestingly, that's the South African experience as well, apparently, I hear. It's always the referee's fault.
Alrighty, that is us for today. We'll catch you guys next time. I'll see you later. Goodbye.